Okay, it's good to see everybody. This is the second to last week before Pesach, right? Right, the second to last week before Pesach. Okay. Now, who knows what is special about? Well, okay. First of all, we'll start with the parsha. I'm actually not talking about the parsha today. We're going to turn to something else. But who knows what this week's parsha is? Yehuda? Vayikra. Very good. It's Parshas Vayikra and the beginning of Sefer Vayikra, right? The entire book of Moses that we're going to be starting now, right? The third book of Moses. How many books of Moses are there? Does anybody know? Eliar, how many? 5 books of Moses. Very good. Does anybody know the names of the books of Moses? Let's get somebody else. What are the five books of the Torah? Chaim. What? Beautiful. Very nice, Chaim. Bereshit, Shemos, Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Dvarim. And Vayikra is the third of the books of Moses. Okay? Now, but that's not really what's like special and what's like on my mind. I mean, it is special for sure, right? Vayikra talks about all the karbanos that were brought in the Mishkan and that are brought in the Beis Hamikdash, right? But what's particularly special about today and about this Shabbos, and really starting from yesterday, is that what began yesterday? What began? What started yesterday? What would you say? Nisan. Very good, Yaakov. Nisan. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right? Now, what's very special about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right? Just one thing that, every day you're going to notice how special Rosh Chodesh Nisan is. What's special about Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right? Right, Pesach is coming, obviously, but the whole month of Nisan is really special. And this we notice every single day, twice a day, we don't say Tachnon. The whole month of Nisan. Right? Did anybody notice that? Anybody notice that? Yeah. You wouldn't have noticed it yesterday. The first time you would notice it is this morning. Right? This morning you didn't say Tachnon. We don't say Tachnon the whole month of Nisan. Because the whole month of Nisan is like a holiday. It's like a special holiday the whole month. Okay? Now, what is special about Nisan? What is special about the month of Nisan? What is special about Pesach? Like, what's like the big thing that we like point to that's so special about it? Any ideas? It's a very open-ended question. Okay, so if you have different ideas, and I'm going to give you a hint. I'll give you a hint quickly. One of the names of Pesach, really referring to the whole month of Nisan, has the word Zman in it. Has Zman, the time. It's the time of something, which really gets to the root and the essence of what happened by Pesach. What is Nisan special for? Like, what's going on? Benny? We were taken out of Mitzrayim? Okay, we were taken out of Mitzrayim. Now, I want to take what Benny said for a second. You ready? The 4 cups of wine that we drink at the Pesach Seder, right? The 4 cups of wine that we drink at the Pesach Seder. Does anyone know what they correspond to? Does anybody know why do we drink 4 cups of wine at the Pesach Seder? Anybody? Why do we drink 4 cups of wine at the Pesach Seder? Yaakov Yoel. 4 words that Hashem used to communicate to Moshe of how he was going to free the Jewish people, right? So now, what were those 4 words? Does anybody know what those 4 words were, Eli? Okay, let's say the Hebrew words for a second. Does anybody know the Hebrew words, the 4 Hebrew words that Hashem said that when he was describing to Moshe how he would save the Jewish people from Mitzrayim? What are those 4 Hebrew words, Moshe David?
I know some of them.
Okay, the Ga'alti is one of them. That's the third one, actually. Okay, what's the first 2, and then the 4th? Nope. That's not one of them. Yes, Yaakov? What? The Hitzalti is another one. So we have the Ga'alti, the third one. We have the Hitzalti, the second one. What's the first one? Jacob? The Hotzeitzi. Beautiful. Beautiful. Those are the 4 words, okay? You should know them very, very well. Right? V'hotzesi, and I will take you out. V'hitzalti, and I will save you. Hatzala, right? What does Hatzala do? It saves you. Right? So v'hotzesi, I will take you out. V'hitzalti, and I will save you. V'ga'alti, and I will redeem you. I will free you. V'lakachti, and I will take you. Now those 4 words, I think we discussed it. What they correspond to, did we discuss this earlier? We did discuss, but let's discuss it again, right? These 4 words, they correspond to a different thing that happened in the process of the Jewish people becoming free. Okay? V'hotzeisi, right? The first word was, I will take you out. What does that correspond to? When did that happen? When the Mako started, the slavery and the servitude of the Jewish people ended. Okay, so that was V'hotzeisi. I will take you out from under the servitude and the working for the Egyptians. Okay? That's when the work stopped. The work stopped when the Mako started. So that's when V'hotzeisi came out. The Jewish people were still in Mitzrayim. They were still in Egypt. But they weren't working. They weren't working as slaves for the Egyptians, right? It's like, you learned about the Civil War and you learned about slavery in America, right? It's like the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Abraham Lincoln said, all the slaves are freed. But guess what? They have nowhere to go. So they're still living in their same, huts. They're still perhaps even, right? They're still perhaps even living in their master's home. But they're no longer enslaved. So that's what the Jewish people, when the Mako started. When the Mako started, they were still living in Mitzrayim, still living in their same homes, but they were free from their work. The next step was V'hitzalti, and I will save you. When did that happen? V'hitzalti happened when the Jewish people were actually taken physically out of Mitzrayim. And we can understand why that's another level of being freed, right? Because now they're not only not working, but they're not even in the land of Mitzrayim anymore. Okay, that was the second step. Then we have V'ga'alti, and I will redeem you. I will free you. Perhaps the most profound level of freedom. When did that happen? And this we discussed. What? Moshe David? Yam Sov, very good. Exactly. The Yam Sov. What happened at the Yam Sov, Moshe David?
That all their masters were killed. They had no...
Very good, exactly. Right? What was that level of V'ga'alti, and I will redeem you, or I will free you? That was when the Jewish people went through the Yam Sov. The Egyptian army passed after them. And what happened to the Egyptian army? They were all killed. And then, after they were all killed, Hashem made a miracle that all the bodies, I was just reading about there was a shipwreck that they found in the bottom of one of the Great Lakes. A shipwreck, okay? It's like a very dangerous area on the Great Lakes, and they found a shipwreck which was pretty much fully intact, okay? And if I remember correctly, I didn't read the article so carefully, I think they found some bodies of the soldiers in the shipwreck, right? Which is what happens, right? Sometimes people drown, right? They go to the bottom of a sea, the bottom of a lake, and that's it. They stay there, right? What's going to make them come up? But Hashem made a miracle. Hashem made it that the Yam Suf, the sea, it spit out all the Egyptians. All the Egyptian soldiers got spit out. Where? Right to the feet of the Jewish people. It was one of the big miracles of the Yam Suf. All the Egyptian soldiers, they were spit out of the sea right to the feet of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people were able to walk around. First of all, take all the jewelry off of them, right? And they made a lot of money from that because the Egyptian soldiers, they were laden with a lot of jewels, right, and gold and silver. So the Jewish people became very rich from that. But besides for that, the Jewish people were able to walk around and they were able to identify, this was my master. This was my master. And look, he's dead. Now I'm fully free. I know he's not going to chase after me, right? I know he's not going to come after me, which is another thing you should know about, right? After this, right, even before the Civil War, really, right before the Civil War in America, there were slaves that bought their freedom or escaped. But guess what? They were never really free, because while they were walking around the streets of New York and Boston, where they were allowed to be free, they were always afraid that there was a bounty hunter. It was someone who was going to be sent by their master, or someone who wanted to make a buck, and he was going to come and kidnap them and bring them back to slavery. So the Jewish people, you could imagine, they were always afraid of that too. They would have been afraid of that too. Very nice, they escaped from Mitzrayim, but their masters are still there plotting how to get them back. And they would still feel enslaved. So Hashem freed them, He redeemed them, He killed all of their masters and showed them that they were dead. But here's the curious thing. What was left to be done? Weren't the Jewish people now fully free? What's the fourth language? The fourth language is V'lakachti, and I will take you. What else has to be done? What is V'lakachti, and I will take you? What does it correspond to? And what else still has to be done? Weren't the Jewish people now fully free? Anybody else whose name is not Stamler? Anyone else have any ideas?
Lurstam.
Amit, do you have an answer? No? Okay, so let's go to, Jacob. His name's not Stamler. The giving of the Torah. The Lakachti is when Hashem gave us the Torah. But that really begs the question, Jacob, because you didn't really answer the question, right? He answered the question halfway. He answered what V'lakachti corresponds to was the giving of the Torah on Har Sinai. But why was that a necessary step for the Jewish people to be free? The Jewish people were free already. They weren't slaves. They were free already. So what was left? Like what had to happen? What was going on? Why is the giving of the Torah? It's a great thing, but why is that one of the 4 cups? Why is that considered to be one of the 4 steps and stages of becoming free? Moshe David?
When they were free, the Civil War, after they were free, they had nowhere to go. They realized that they had nothing to do. They had no...
But now they can live life. They can do what they want. Right?
They don't know what to do.
Okay, but they can live life. But they're free men. You can do what you want.
They don't have money.
It's but okay. So you go and you work and you try to make money and you have a job and you try to support your family, become as successful as possible. Why is that different? Why is it any different, right? Which he's raising about. Why is it any different than the blacks in America who were freed, right? And now they're free. They could go do what they want.
Because they don't...
What was lacking? What was lacking in the Jewish people's freedom? It seems like all the steps, right? Check. They're fully free. No servitude. They're not in Egypt. They see their masters are dead. They're fully free. Fully free. So I want to share with you an insight. And I got this insight from the Tveres Yisrael. The Tveres Yisrael wrote the Yachin, right? The Yachin Boaz was written by the Tveres Yisrael. So I got this insight from the Tveres Yisrael. And I'll tell you what the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says. You ready? It's an amazing Mishnah. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says like this. It says, there is no such thing as a free person. No such thing as a free person other than someone who studies Torah. Now, did you ever hear a more self-serving, propaganda piece than that? Right? It's like, you ready? You ready, Daniel? Daniel? There's no such thing as a free man other than someone who follows all my rules. Huh? That's freedom, right? You can almost imagine there's a cult leader, right? There's a cult leader in a back room, and he's sitting there with his hands, and he's scheming, and he gets his group of people in front of him, and he says to them, and he says, guys, you want to be free? You want real freedom? Real freedom is follow my rules. Huh? How is real freedom follow the rules of the Torah? Right? A thinking person would say, real freedom is follow the rules of the Torah. Learn the Torah. Why? Why is that real freedom? Isn't that just being a slave or a servant to somebody else? So now I don't have to do what right? Now I don't have to do what the Egyptian tells me. Very nice. Okay, I don't have to do what the Egyptian tells me, but I have to do what God tells me. So why is that freedom? What's the freedom about being involved in learning Torah? Why is that now freedom? So you know what the Tveres Yisrael says? The Tveres Yisrael says as follows. You know what the real enslavement of a slave is? Do you know what the real enslavement of a slave is? If someone's a slave to his master, you know what the real enslavement is? The real enslavement is, as the Gemara says, Avda behefkera nichale. A slave, he just wants to be able to do what he wants. He only wants, his whole mission and goal in life is to sit around and do nothing. My master is constantly forcing me to work. He's not allowing me to just kick it back and do nothing and just be that live free guy, like just running around the world doing whatever I want. Because that's built up in his mind as like such a big thing, because he can't do it, because he doesn't have the freedom to do what he wants. The only thing he wants to do is just live free. Live free. Peace and love, man. Peace and love. That's it. He just wants to live free. Live free, peace and love. That's all he wants. He doesn't want structure, order, responsibility. He doesn't want any of that. Why doesn't he want any of that? The reason why he doesn't want any of that is because he's a slave. So we can understand that. But now that you're free, now that you have the ability to be able to chart the course of your life, how are you going to live? Are you going to live with that same mentality? That, right? Like when I retire, right? You know, like these people who are, let's call them slaves of the public school system, right? Do you know the slaves of the public school system? Right? Rebbe's probably met some of these. People who, they're well-paid slaves of the public school system, right? They put in their indentured servitude for 30 years so that they can retire and just kick it back and sit and just check out and just drink their culottes on the beach, play cards, and do nothing. That's all they want to do, okay? Okay, I think of them as the indentured slaves of the public school system, or any really government. That's all they want to do. I did my time, I did my 30 years, I just want to sit in my hot tub, kick it back with my pina colada. Don't bother me. That's what they want to do. But you know what happens when you do that? You know what happens when you do that? And this is the real insight of the Tiferes Yisrael. You forget about the fact that you also have a soul. You forget about the fact that you have a neshama. Does your neshama want to just sit around and enjoy pina coladas? No. He doesn't want to do that. Your neshama wants to be involved in chachma, in wisdom, in thinking, in being successful in a spiritual realm. If you subjugate, if you enslave your neshama, and what your neshama wants to do to your body's want of just sit around and do nothing, you are perpetuating that same slave mentality, even though you're free. Even though you're free. So in order for the Jewish people to fully be free, and we'll discuss this more next week, but in order for the Jewish people to fully be free, they needed that fourth step. They needed an instruction manual, right? Like it could be Moshe David was hinting at a little bit. They needed an instruction manual. How do you really act free? How do you really live as a free person? How do you do that? They knew how to live as slaves. But now that we take away the slavery, now do you just want to sit around and do nothing and drink pina coladas? Or do you actually want to be able to live as a free person? And to live as a free person really means that the spirit should be free. And for the spirit and for the neshama of a person to be free, it needs structure. It needs order. It needs guidelines in order to allow it to progress and to be able to express itself in the best way possible. Jacob, can you lead us with the Boring Nefashos? Everyone be